Hello and welcome back to Those Astrology Girls. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Keelie.
In today's episode, we're going to have a great conversation about Neptune moving into Aries. Now, if you've been hearing anything online about this, which I'm sure if you follow Those Astrology Girls, you're probably seeing a lot of information about what a big deal this transit is going to be or what a big deal it is. And we're going to talk about why that is and what we're feeling, but also, just giving you a heads up. Like, this isn't going to be a super nitty-gritty episode where we get into like every single transit and every single date and every single implication of what this means. Because first off, Those Astrology Girls are here to work with the collective energy. We're here to understand how this impacts us on a daily basis and how we can work with the energy. But also, Keelie and I have never lived through Neptune in Aries.
No one has.
No one has. And if you have, then let us know what you've been doing. Is it Botox or is it something a little bit more radical? This is a transit that happens only once at every 165 years. And so the last time Neptune was in Aries was in 1861. And one of the things that you'll probably hear from a lot of more educational astrologers is that this was the same time that the United States went through civil war. Now, I just want to say this right in the beginning of this episode, the planets have all moved since 1861. And so just because that happened then does not mean we're in for the same exact thing that happened back then. And, we're in a totally different world. 165 years is a really long time. And I'm personally excited to talk about the fact that Neptune moving into Aries means that it has completed a whole journey around the zodiac wheel, meaning we're ending in Pisces. So anytime a planet moves from Pisces to Aries, it is like a whole new chapter. So this energy is fresh. We're closing this huge big book of lessons and we're moving into a whole new book of lessons that has not been yet written. So, Keelie, are you excited for this? Tell me how you're feeling.
Yeah, I think that a part of me before us recording this episode today has just been like, the territory we are about to step into astrologically, it's unknown. There's a lot of people that are going to say a lot of things. There's a lot of sources out there just relaying information about what people are to expect. And Neptune moving into Aries does mark also one of the really big shifts that we are in for in 2025. I mean, we talked about this in our 2025 astrology episode, but this is a huge collective shift that we are about to experience in 2025 this year as a whole. I mean, there's a lot of these really big collective shifts that we're experiencing, Neptune changing signs, which we're talking about today, Saturn changing signs, Uranus changing signs, Pluto changing signs, end of 2024. I mean, we are really in for a lot of different energy this year. And as we know, with change comes some discomfort, but I'm really just, I was like, okay, yes, this is uncharted territory. It's a bit uncomfortable, what to expect. But also as I was deepening into some of this energy, I feel like Neptune entering Aries. I mean, we've been living with Neptune and Pisces. We almost don't even realize because it's such a long time that we've been in this energy. The past 14 years since 2011, Neptune has been in Pisces. Neptune's pretty cozy in Pisces. It rules Pisces, so it's comfortable there. And Aries is just such a different energy. If we feel like maybe we've been in this sleepy slumber for the past 14 years, maybe this is really going to be a time where it's an opportunistic time, a time where we really get to explore the kinds of shifts that we can feel on this personal level too. Yes, we are going to see a ton of collective shifts, like Neptune entering Aries from Pisces is way different energy. We've got Saturn entering Aries in May. Neptune's now entering Aries. We've got this Aries solar eclipse happening, Aries season. We're in a lot of Aries energy right now. 2025 from here on out, it's going to be a lot of shifts.
Yeah, for sure. And it's funny because it's okay, if we think about this collective time of consciousness, right? So if you've tuned into Those Astrology Girls, right at its inception, or even if you're new and you're just listening to this episode now, you were with us through Pluto moving into Aquarius, and then we were setting up all of these major transits that are to come. And so you are now consciously aware of all of these astrological transits that you may not have been paying attention to in the past, and that just changes the way that we work with them. Because this energy has always been at play, we just haven't always been conscious. So the last time Pluto moved into Capricorn, right, in 2008, I had no idea that was what was happening. I was watching things around me go completely haywire, not exactly personally, but in the collective, because Pluto is very large scale, changing everyone's lives, not just personal, but it will affect you personally. And same with Neptune. If we look at the planets, like Pluto's the furthest away that we've identified that we work with astrologically, then there's Neptune. So these are big collective themes, as Keelie said. And so I'd like to just, this is probably the most technical we're going to get about this, and tell you, one, we talked about the eclipse, right? That's happening on March 29th. And Neptune is moving into Aries on March 30th. So it is the next day. These two events have nothing to do with each other. They just happen to be one day after each other. So in case you're like, oh, this eclipse moved it into Aries, like, no, it's just actually a wild month of a lot of movement and a lot of retrogrades and transits. And so that kind of just adds to the flavor of like this intensity that we may be experiencing with this. But once Neptune moves into Aries on March 30th, it will stay there until October 22nd, 2025, and then it'll move backwards retrograde into Pisces for just a hot minute, and then next year in 2026, it'll move back until March of 2039. So we've got a taste of it, what it's going to be like this year. So think of it as like a preview. I think Keelie called it like a movie trailer, right? Like where Keelie once called like seeing this preview like a movie trailer. So we're getting that little preview of the movie, and then we have the next 14 years to see how it plays out.
Yeah. As Nicole said, I mean, we are dipping into Neptune and Aries, and this is really, as of March 30th. And as you're listening to this, Neptune will already be in Aries. So we're recording this just like a few days before Neptune truly enters Aries. But this is going to be a time where we're really getting to get to know Neptune in a different way. Every time Neptune enters a new sign, of course, it's going to bring a really big collective shift, especially I feel like just this like movement from Pisces into Aries. Yes, like such a big shift in energies from this water sign to this fire sign, from this mutable sign to this cardinal sign, right? But Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So not only is this like, yes, a new 14-year cycle, but this is also a brand new 165-year cycle. Neptune has a new story to tell. The past 160 has been one story, has been a storyline of like what Neptune is revealing to us. And this is a brand new story, which is a really big deal, you guys. Neptune is this planet of, and we talk about this in our 12 planets episode. So if you want to deepen into Neptune energy, I encourage you to go listen to that. And same thing with Aries energy. You can go listen to our zodiac sign energies just to kind of understand some of the frequencies of these two components. But like, Neptune is this planet of spirituality, of dreams, of mysticism, of intuition, of illusion. Aries, this energy of this warrior energy, this self-starter, this pioneer, this activist, right? As Nicole said, 1861, the last time Neptune entered Aries, and that was the year that the Civil War started. And as we know, that war completely changed just the entire world and the world that we live in and the way that we operate as society. So that was one story, the beginning of a story that Neptune had to tell. What's the new story? Neptune being this highly sensitive sign, like whose suffering are we most sensitive to right now? Who do we need to fight for? Who do we need to protect? This Aries energy is so protective. Again, it's like that warrior energy. So like, who does Aries want to fight for? Who does Aries want to protect? Who does Aries want to stand up boldly and bravely and courageously and speak up for, or what, right? Who or what? Neptune, this compassionate, this really sensitive sign, is like wants to guide us in the direction of where we need to grow on this collective level. So where is that? And what is this story that Neptune has to tell? I think that's what's going to be revealed over the next 14 years.
I think that's really powerful statements, like that those two themes coming together and like seeing the last time that it was in that sign in Aries, like, and seeing Neptune and how it's transformed everything coming to the close of that 165-year story. I also think too, if we combine it with Pluto and Aquarius, power to the people, I think Neptune's going to be a huge individualism spark, and not in an individualism spark in a way that is saying forget about others, because as Keelie said, it's very protective, but looking at the suffering of others, but also looking at the suffering of yourself. Where have you been stuck in disillusion? Where have you been stuck in dreamland? Very comfortably so, just not seeing the full picture, because Neptune is like very intangible and it's very nebulous and it's kind of hard to like grab. Whereas Aries energy is like boom, in your face. Like you could literally reach out and grab it. Like that's Aries energy. It feels very present. So it's interesting to see this, Neptune moving out of Pisces and being in this illusionary state, dreamy, intuitive, all of these things. I also think we're going to see a lot of people who maybe like were poo-pooing spirituality before be like, you know what, that might be have you ever heard of this thing? Or have you ever heard of that thing? And you'll be like, no, never have I heard of that. I feel like there was a huge rise of spirituality when Neptune was in Pisces for a lot of people. Some of that very good, some of that very activating and important. Also, some of it a little bit illusionary, a little bit culty, if I will say, And it could be a time where a lot of people are realizing, oh my God, I don't need a guru. I am my best guide here. Like I am the leader that I need. And I'm learning from all these great people that I've learned from, but I can take this individual path here in this and still learn and be in community with others, but I don't need anything outside of me. Whereas Neptune was kind of more of a seeking planet when it was in Pisces. Maybe you were like trying a bunch of different things. I feel like people are going to like have a fire quite literally lit under them, and like they're going to be ready to do things. They're not going to be talking about it anymore. They're going to be like, let's just do something now. And I'm really excited for that. As Keelie said before, like business-wise, as a business owner, this feels really exciting. There's a lot of people who have been talking about wanting to change. I bet you in the next couple of years, we're going to see a lot of people actually making the changes they've been thinking about for a really long time.
Yeah, I feel that. And that goes back, I think, to just kind of at the beginning, like how I'm feeling a sort of excitement for just what this energy is to bring. Because while Neptune has been in Pisces, yes, we did see such a surge in just in spiritual awakenings in the spiritual community. I woke up spiritually. I'm sure a lot of people who are listening to this podcast perhaps experienced their spiritual awakening since 2011 timeframe. And that was a lot of the story that was going on, and it was like bringing us into this space. And human design became really well known, and people are more into astrology and tarot, and people are shifting their views around just like religion as a whole. But like, what does it mean for us to like be so connected to ourselves and our soul and our purpose in the world? And it's like now with this like fresh Aries energy, this action oriented self-starting energy, it's like, okay, we've been doing the spiritual work. We've been really connected to ourselves spiritually and really just unlocking who it is that we are, and like how we are like so interconnected to the world and just oneness and collective consciousness. And now we're really taking all of that and we're running with it with Neptune and Aries. And it's like, okay, let's get started. Let's start this new cycle. This is a lot about not giving away your power. In what way have we been giving away our own personal power? And perhaps this is a time when like all this spiritual work that we've done, it's like we really know now like how to pave our own path and lead our own way and not give away our own authority and power to others. I was also hearing too about and I don't remember who from, because I was listening to so many different astrologers talk about this, but that with Neptune moving into Aries, that the veil is going to be lifted, and we're going to be seeing some of these leaders a lot more clearly for who they are. Who's a true leader and who's not. Aries is the sign of the leader. Like a lot, I think, is going to be unveiled around just who we see as leaders. I think there's going to be a bit of a transformation around leadership in our world, which also I think goes with Pluto and Aquarius, because it's just, we talked about just like breaking down old structures, those Capricornian structures all falling away, and all these systems and structures that are outdated and need to be, that's what Aquarius comes after Capricorn. Aquarius is like, yeah, I understand the structures, and here's how the structures need to be reformed. Here's why they're not working anymore, and here's how we need to evolve as humanity. And so how Neptune and Aries, I think there's going to be this like, okay, yes, like structures are breaking down, old systems are breaking down, and also we're having a lot more clarity around leaders in our world and maybe where there's problems with that.
Yeah, for sure. And if you're like already going in your mind like to a specific leader, like, oh, like this isn't, or like this like leadership aspect or, certain part doesn't make sense. Hey, widen your eyes. Neptune's going to surprise us. It's like a foggy walk on a beach. You don't know what's around the corner necessarily, and that's not a scary thing. It's kind of like to be revealed, right? And I feel like leaders in your community, leaders in the spiritual space, leaders online, leaders in government, I feel like nobody is safe from this illusion and veil being lifted here, that people are going to see much more clearly. If we think of the fire of Aries, it's going to burn through things, like you can't stop it. It's going to be activating, and it's going to be really important. And as Keelie said, because Pluto is in Aquarius, it's making a nice aspect to Neptune and Aries. It's called a sextile, and it's just a 60-degree aspect. And this is a more soft, helpful aspect. So I think it's going to be a really interesting time to watch these two work together in this way and say, okay, how did that work? Actually, now that I think about it, I was born with Neptune sextiling Pluto. So that's cool. I'm like, neat. So then my child too will be born with Neptune sextiling Pluto in her chart too, which is kind of fun. I keep having these little realizations of like the similarities. But, as you said, like with leadership too and the old structures, I see this too. And I've heard a lot of astrologers talk about like the veil around like Hollywood and actors and putting people on pedestals. And I think that really does speak to us outsourcing power or outsourcing influence. Even just think about the rise of the micro influencer. Before we needed a celebrity to go on TV and be like, easy breezy, beautiful cover girl, right? Like, and tell us like the beauty of like, this is the standard or this is the new foundation or whatever. And now you can go on TikTok, you can buy a jacket from who knows where, and so-and-so's trying to sell me an air freshener. And then, I looked at one diaper bag. Now I have ads for 1,000 diaper bags. So like, I just feel like we have more access to this information and to people that like there's not so much of a hierarchy anymore like there used to be. And I think that's just one tiny like brick in the foundation kind of crumbling away of like just even how we experience consumerism, right? Good or bad. Like we could see this going either way. But we pretty much know that most people talking about stuff online are getting paid for it. I don't know, maybe I thought like those models were really into CoverGirl back in the day, but I just think there's less illusion. Like, yeah, if someone's talking about something online, they're likely getting paid for it, right? Like that makes sense to me. It's not some unknown thing. It's very transparent. And I feel like that's the combination of what we're going to see is like Aries transparency, Neptune illusion, and it's going to be like just burn away. Have you ever seen those cakes now they have online and they do like will you marry me, and they like burn the center and then it opens and turns into a ring? I'm not a fan of setting cakes on fire, but I've seen it for gender reveals as well, but it's kind of what it reminds me of. Like the truth is underneath and they just light a match and then the paper burns away and it says like will you marry me or it's a boy, like under the cake. And that's kind of like the feeling that I see for like this initial ingress of Neptune into Aries.
Yeah, there's so much depth there. I just keep thinking too, with Pluto being in Aquarius, and we know that Uranus is entering Gemini later this year, and we're expecting a lot of like shifts technologically and just like technological advancements. And the world as we know it today is going to look completely different in a year from now, technologically speaking. But I can't help but think too that with Neptune entering Aries and Aries being this pioneering, entrepreneurial energy, that this energy is also going to really, like a lot of the people who have these ideas, who have been kind of sitting on these dreams, are actually going to be like putting these things out into the world now, and then maybe it's like when Uranus enters Gemini later this year that like all those projects finally are just like coming to light. And it's like, this is kind of this is part of just the big shift. I think this plays into perhaps just that individual energy of how we're individually out in the world, like creating change. I mean, we are going to see big change this year. We talked about that in the 2025 astrology episode. And I just think with all these big shifts happening, I can't help but think that this Aries energy is going to play such a big role in the way that we as individuals are coming in and creating that change individually. Like even thinking about myself and then you and like whoever's listening, it's like, what's our individual role? Like, what have we been dreaming about? That it's like now we are ready to really use the power of our voice to bring that out into this world. Because that's like together collectively, like it's each of our individual voices that are going to create such a big shift. It's each of our individual actions, like the way that we are showing up in the world. Like, it's almost like this is our time. If we don't take advantage of really just the kinds of opportunities that we're in right now, like if you felt held back from using your own voice, if you've felt small, if you felt like your voice doesn't matter, like this Aries energy that's being ignited within all of us is like, no, your voice does matter. Like you do have something to say. Like there is something you're here to do. Like you are a part of like the change in this world, and you have a special impact to make in this world. You have a special purpose. Like this is our time. We don't want to be left behind. Like no man gets left behind this year, right? Like this is our individual time too, to really go after what we want in our own life and not let all these outdated systems and structures and limitations like keep standing in the way of us doing that. Maybe it's like, I'm thinking just too of like, I feel like the 9 to 5 is going to change. Like I can't help but say like that this 9 to 5 world, like I think is one of those old outdated structures that are going to fall away. Like you already see it. People are like the 4, day work week, and let's like not, whatever. Like we've seen these changes coming. And I think that even more so, like there are outdated structures, and if we've been feeling like there's something in our life that's old and outdated and a structure that's not working for us anymore, well, like now's the time to like break free from those structures and like really pave our own path wherever that may be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we know too much now that like the 9 to 5 and the old outdated structures and so many things are just not working. Like I think specifically about people who work for the federal government, who were like working from home all this time, being fine, doing this stuff. And then suddenly they were like, most of them were told back in January, like, you've got to be in the office 5 days a week. And they're
it's
like,
so twisted. It's like, so it's like literally going against everything that we know where like the world is progressing. It's like, society, these structures, whatever, they're like trying to hold on so tight to control. And you can see it and you're like, oh my gosh, we can't backtrack. Like we're already too far progressed. Like, that's just not going to work.
Yeah, let's all go into the office and sit on our own separate Zoom meetings. Like, oh my gosh, like, kill me. That's terrible, And I feel for them because it's like the government doesn't have the flexibility that the corporate world does. And I know a lot of corporate folks are in the office 5 days a week as well. And that's awful, to be told you can work remote. And then like, by the way, we need you in the office, like for the culture. So I totally hear you on that one. And I also think that we're going to experience Neptune individually too, like in our own ways. And so you can look at what house, this is helpful because if you looked in the last episode what house Aries is in your chart, you'll be able to understand the general themes, and you can listen to our episode on the houses and understand what each of those houses means for you. But where is Neptune going to be transiting these next 13 to 14 years in your personal chart, and get an idea of like some of the themes? I think if it's going to be transiting your sun, your moon, your rising sign, that's really, or your ascendant, those are big deals, right? But collectively, we're going to see this like on the world stage the most, in our large scale communities happening. But you may experience Neptune really personally too. So it's always fun to look. I mean, I won't experience Neptune touching my moon for quite some time. Probably like, I don't know, 10 years. So I've got some time to figure that out and see what the vibes are of Neptune, but it's exciting. And it won't touch everyone's sun and moon because, like we said, it takes 165 years for it to go around the zodiac wheel. So it's just kind of like this Aries moment is in focus, and it's going to be good. I also was thinking too about like the mysticism of Neptune and Pisces, and like, I don't know if you've ever felt like Keelie said, like you don't have a voice or something like that, but like, have you ever felt kind of out of place in your own relationship with faith and the relationship with the unknown and your relationship with your intuition or anything? I just feel like Aries is going to be like, don't worry about it. You have a place here. Like this is that warrior energy where like this feeling of like you're not dancing naked under the moon, you're not good enough, goes away. It's completely gone. And if you are dancing naked under the moon, good for you. I hope you don't have that many neighbors. Would not fly in suburbia where I live. But, I think that it's like just giving rise to like how you can be whatever you want to be when it comes to themes of Neptune, and allow it, and just allow that energy and that fire and that spark to take form. And I think we're going to see a lot of cool things. Oh, you know what? There was another thing you had mentioned. Another thing I was thinking when you were talking about like business stuff is that I think that we got a preview of like the rise of Kickstarter, right? And like community campaigns and things like that to like show how you can make business happen even when you don't have like traditional funding and all of that. But I think, like you said, when Uranus moves into Gemini in July, so July 7th, it will move into Gemini, that we're going to see like really creative and fast ways for people to bring things that have been in their mind, in their dreams, in their notebook, in their journal, if they have that fire, to life without the traditional means. Like the barriers to entry are going to go down for so many things with this new era. At least I'm predicting and I'm hoping that it's going to be really fun. I think we're going to be like, whoa, this is insane. I think we said this on TikTok and someone was worried. I said, this is like a year and a time where everything changes so quickly that we're like, how do we even do it before? And I know that created a little bit of worry. And I'm like, no, I think this is largely positive if we anchor into what could be good.
Yeah. Well, I think for people who have a lot of Taurus energy, that is like they do not want fast change. They're like, please, like bring it slow. And if there's any change at all, right? Like keep it slow. But yeah, there is like, we are in for a year and things are only going to pick up pace from here, in May. I mentioned this before, but Saturn is going to enter Aries. So with Saturn entering Aries in May, that's going to create a new wave of energy to all this Neptunian energy that we are feeling. And I think that was also where the astrologer that whoever said this, again, I'm blanking. I think it was maybe Pam Gregory, I think, is who talked about this.
We love Pam.
Yeah. Nicole got me onto Pam.
Her voice is so soothing and relaxing. She's British, so like I could listen to Pam all day.
I think she was the one that said that once Saturn enters Aries, that's when we really are going to see, because Saturn, those Capricornian structures, like any of those leaders that are in these Capricornian structures, Saturn, that's when maybe we'll really start to see that play out, where like there's the unveiling of who is a true and honest leader in this world. And maybe we see leaders fall from power at this time. So yeah, that's going to be, really short, pretty soon after Neptune enters Aries. We'll have some new energy that Nicole and I will be talking about at that point in time.
Yeah, for sure. Keelie loves Saturn. I personally...
And Nicole loves Neptune.
I love Neptune and Pluto. I'm like, yeah, these are my buddies. Like, these are great. It's kind of funny. I was thinking of like a little like image. I was like, you know what's interesting? I was like, so Saturn and Neptune are about to enter into like a little love affair. But like, Neptune's also polyamorous with Pluto over here on the side. And I was like, this is such a weird thing to say. And I was like, and then they're also hanging out with, Uranus and Gemini not too far away. So I was like, it's this really interesting combo of planets coming together for this generation and this time. And I feel like, I think I've said this many times, but we all chose to be here at this time. Whether or not we can like fully grasp or wrap our heads around that, like, this was all part of the plan. Whatever the plan looked like, we were like, yes. Like, we checked yes on all the boxes and we're like, cool, let's go. And we came down the cosmic slide and here we are. So it's like, we chose this for a reason. And now it's like this time, it's like, put up or shut up. Like, let's just figure it out. Like, let's just show up for what these transits are. And I hope that this episode has brought you a little bit more of hope and excitement for what these transits could bring. Yes, of course, everything brings discomfort because it's out of the comfort zone. It's in the change zone, and no growth happens in the comfort zone. Like, I think I said that before about Saturn. Like, if we just stayed in the middle of Saturn, we'd never know it had rings, right? Like, we got to expand to like see the rings of Saturn and like the beauty that exists there. And same with Neptune. If we just said, oh, the beach is foggy today, I'm not going to go for a walk, you might never discover the most beautiful sandcastle just around the bend, and you would have missed it. You would have never even known it existed. And Neptune's just asking, like, can you just trust that you can see the next 3 steps in front of you and keep going and hold that like delusional faith in yourself, in humanity, in others, but also still speaking up and caring and not losing that connection to your own heart.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if there's like 2 themes during this time that really stick out to me the most, and just to kind of like sum all of this up, it's like that spiritual warrior energy, advocating for, someone or something, for, what's going to, like, what does humanity need? what do we need to grow and evolve in this next chapter of life. And so I think that spiritual warrior energy, that activist energy is going to be really big. And then I think, really taking action on our own dreams. Maybe we felt like we've been in a little bit of a sleepy slumber, and I'm like, okay, let's just kind of see where we feel called to take action. And especially, as Nicole said, if you have any planetary placements between, 28 degrees of like a mutable sign to 2 degrees of like a cardinal sign, you're going to be feeling this energy a lot. This energy is going to have a lot bigger of maybe an impact on you personally at this time. I went through a Neptune transit while Neptune was in Pisces. I have like 2 planets, late degree Pisces, very personal planets. And I felt that. I feel like when Neptune crosses over your own personal planets, it can create this like, things can feel a little bit foggy. We've talked about that, but that aspect of you is kind of like just, it's kind of just moving through a bit of a fog. So I don't know if you have anything to share about anyone who has personal planets, Nicole, that are going, in those early degrees Aries, and they are going to be experiencing this new Neptunian energy, if you have any advice for them.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually thinking of something specifically my mom used to say, and she would always tell me, Nicole, change starts at home. Change starts at home all the time. And that means within you, you are your home, and within your immediate surroundings. And so if it feels like this call to activism or this call to like standing up for people, it's like, oh my God, there's so much going on. Like, where do I even begin? Start with yourself. Start with you. Start with what you need. Tend to you. And then also you'll have so much more to give in that realm when you feel called to stand up for someone. Obviously, if you see something bad, say something. But, my mom used to always encourage me, like, what can we do? What can we do? And it was like, what about you? Like, how can you focus this energy here? And then we start this change here. You don't have to go make a movement to make a change. Everything ripples out. And so I think if you're experiencing a Neptune transit, look at yourself and your relationship with your faith. And I don't just mean religious faith. I mean, what is your optimism? What is your faith that things will work out? What is your confidence that you can hold certainty in the uncertain, tangibility in the intangible? Like, what do you not see, but like these are all really important things to ask yourself when Neptune's going over a personal planet. And we'll drop in the show notes a calculator that will show you exactly when you're experiencing a Neptune transit. And you can go out years in advance. I think it's helpful. It'll tell you like all the aspects, and that might be a bit advanced, but if you're into it and you want to know, that calculator will be in the show notes for you.
Well, also to say too, yes, it's planets and it's also angles. So if you have your rising sign, your IC, DC, or MC midhaven line, right around 0 to 2 degrees Aries as well. Like this is, you're going to feel this too.
Absolutely. And it's like, I think it's not a question of, oh, will this be bad or, anything. Like, I don't think any transit is particularly good or bad. It's just asking you to show up and study in a different area, Actually, Keelie and I were voice memoing earlier today about something, and she's like, it's kind of like being in a playground. And like, one day you're on the monkey bars and the next day you're on the slide. Like, just like kids, they're all over the place. Like, that's kind of what these transits are asking us to do. So it's like, if you haven't been on the swings for a while, maybe it's time to go hang out on the swings and enjoy just a different view, a different perspective. And Neptune's going to be bringing things to the surface in a way, but it is a really far away planet. So like this would be different than if you're feeling Venus retrograde right now or Mercury retrograde right now. It's not going to feel as tangible, but it's going to be big life themes that you're going to experience, these changes, these challenges with faith, and just asking, will you show up for yourself and others or your dream when things are not clear? When you don't have a solid path, when the GPS goes down in your car and you're driving on an open road going, God, I hope I know which exit to get off of, that you keep driving. It'll just stop and go, well, the GPS doesn't work. You just keep on going.
That's amazing. I was thinking that maybe we should do a little collective card pull for this new chapter.
We'll do the healing waters because that just seems really appropriate for
I love it. For
for
Neptune.
Neptune. Yeah, I was like, oh, okay. Let me mute while I shuffle. Any other words?
No, but I will add that if you are someone who is really feeling the energy right now with the eclipse, with the equinox, with the retrogrades, and maybe you've got some early degrees Aries stuff and you're like anticipating, okay, all what's Neptune to bring and all these things. Nicole and I just want to remind you all of our brand new birth chart essentials readings that we have for you guys to go deep into some of these topics that we're talking about here on the podcast and answer any questions that you have as it relates to, how does all of this energy that we're experiencing this year impact your own chart? I mean, with all of the shifts going on. I mean, even, with Pluto in Aquarius, with Neptune in Aries, with Saturn in Aries, with Uranus entering Gemini, with, so many things happening all over the chart. Like we're all getting impacted really like in some way. And so, yeah, as things are coming up and as you're feeling things, we really just invite you to reach out to us. You can book a birth chart essentials reading with us. And we are so excited to meet you guys.
Yeah, I just love seeing everyone's charts. And let me tell you, personal shout out, if you've got Saturn in the early degrees of Aquarius with Pluto there, you need to call us. Like, this is an invitation, but
I can personally chat with you because I am experiencing that.
And I did it 12 years ago. So I know the gist. It's okay. We all survive. But it's a time where you're probably like, WTF is going on? Like there's got to be more.
Any planets in early degrees Aquarius,
yes.
Your world is just completely flipped. Aspects of you are undergoing deep cycles of death and rebirth right now.
Yeah, it's like a big remodel. Yeah. It's kind of fun. You get to pick out the new tile and the new decor. Let's do it together.
Yeah.
Okay, so I can't get over this. This is so perfect. These cards are great. This is a Rebecca Campbell Healing Waters Oracle, and we got the Waterfall, which says inner power, unbridled confidence, and claiming your place.
Oh my God, that is so perfect.
It's so good. I'll like do a little read of the book, but we'll link the card in the show notes. So if you want to read it for yourself, it's just
perfect message for Neptune
so
and Aries.
Strong. Yeah, it's such a strong message. And it's like, it's funny because the way I pull cards, sometimes like I just pull them, and then other times I get like a little nudge of like what number of the deck to pull.
We also include a little card pull as part of your reading too, you guys.
Yes, we share that at the beginning. So it says, Soul Inquiry, what would you do if you felt empowered and confident?
Wow. Such
Aries vibes. But basically, the waterfall is a place of power, incredible force, and activation. The previously calm, embracing waters of the running river, gather momentum and then hurl themselves wholeheartedly toward their destiny. This is so Neptune moving into Aries. I can't.
Wow.
Perhaps this explains why being near a waterfall is such an empowering experience. We feel the pounding energy of the waters deep within us. This card is all about embracing the power within, stepping forward, and claiming your place. You've been working for this for a very long time, i.e. 13 to 14 years. You've done the time. How can you embrace this moment and take your position as a leader in your life? The waterfall beckons you forward toward empowerment to consider what you do if you truly felt empowered. It encourages you to step more into your full confidence, to receive the pounding thunder of the falling waters as your encouragement and your applause.
That is so beautiful.
It's so good.
That is so beautiful and so encouraging and so empowering. And that was, I love
and the
that.
the woman on the card is just standing there, and the waterfall basically becomes her dress, and she's just like she's in a powerful stance, and the water pours over her. Her hands are up in the air, and she just looks at peace, like very grounded, very powerful. Very Taurus energy of this card, I would think, but with that water flare.
I love that.
So fun. Great idea to pull a card. Love it. We should add this to all of our episodes.
I agree.
I've got all the decks next to me, so I'm ready.
Amazing. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new about what we can expect over this next 14-year cycle with Neptune and Aries. we are really in for some big change personally, as we even heard with the card, like really a time to step into our own power, our own leadership, as well as on a collective level. So thank you guys so much for just being here with us today. And we will see you guys next week.